Is on every Monday night at 7:30 p.m. Watch live on YouTube and make sure to subscribe. Sports on Tap's high school football coverage is presented by Raymond Felton State Farm.
With the auto insurance market constantly changing, call a professional that will put your needs first. Ray Felton State Farm is a team of licensed professionals that will assess your risk, explain coverage in detail, and assure you understand what would happen if you ever found yourself in a claim situation. You can visit rayfelton.com or call their office at 234-284-2996 for a free quote on your home, auto, renters, and life insurance needs.
Whether you're hosting a corporate event, wedding, conference, concert, or any other special gathering, our comprehensive range of services will exceed your expectations and elevate your event to new heights. RRT Productions. We shoot, we edit, you win. Visit our website at www.rrt-productions.com.
Hand and built leather goods. Leather goods built for life. Made by hand in the USA, all goods are made with veg-tanned leather. Some of the best quality around and made by a U.S. veteran. Check out their website, www.handbuiltleather.com. GV Art and Design is a creative boutique specializing in original artwork, design, and apparel. With 4 locations in Lakewood, Avon, Willoughby, and Kent, you can visit their store and check out their collections including Cleveland sports teams, Ohio colleges, and much more. Use the code ONTAP10 for 10% off your order. GV Art and Design, original and one of a kind.
And welcome, everybody, to Sports on Tap. This is a high school football show presented by Ray Felton State Farm Insurance. Make sure you give him a call. You just heard about him and all of our other great sponsors. over the course of our show. Make sure you stay tuned. We will be talking about our sponsors both during and after the show. You're watching us live on our YouTube channel. On YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the likes, get the notifications whenever we're about to join the air. We are also on Spotify, a recent addition. So another media outlet for Sports on Tap to be out there. So make sure you check us out on Spotify. We're also at follow us on Twitter/X at SOT Podcast, on Threads at SOT_podcast, our Facebook page is Sports on Tap, and of course our website is sportsontappodcast.com. Get all sorts of information about the show, schedules, where we are, where we're going to be, and then any comments, questions, concerns, pronunciations, or any other general feedback. Make sure you email us at sportsontappodcast@gmail.com. My name is Ed Dick, alongside Rob Troutman, Josh Jeffy, Professor Hype, Sean Duffy, and Dr. Hoops. Noah Jacobson is out on assignment tonight. It's hard to believe we are at the last week has finally come upon us. The state semifinals kicked off last week. All games again were on Friday in neutral sites. So we'll be going through all the relevant divisional. Actually, I think we're going through all of them, aren't we? No, I think we have we're going to be going through the relevant divisions 1, 2, and 3, because those are the teams, those are the divisions that our teams qualified for. If we have time, maybe we'll get back to some of the other stuff. We'll probably at least mention some of the other local teams that are going to be playing in the lower divisions. But we had one team still left, so Rob will go over that here in a little bit. And then we will be joined by Twinsburg's Coach Saulter. He was the Division II All Inland District Coach of the Year, I believe, if I have that right. And then we'll also joined by Coach Thome from Amherst, to just finish his first year at Amherst. A very good turnaround from Amherst from what they've had the last few years. So we'll talk to Coach Thome about that. And we'll see where things go from there. But we are just about wrapping up our football coverage, and we are quickly going to be moving on to the next phase of the Sports on Tap cycle, which is hockey. But we'll get to that here in a little bit. So without further ado, let's get the Sean, as always, prepared the PowerPoints, and he does a fantastic job of doing so. And we got the Division I state semifinals, and we talked about this game. This team specifically. Springfield comes away with a 26-19 victory over Archbishop Moeller. Springfield came in as a number 12 seed and has returned to the state championship, I think, for the 4th straight year. You can't say enough about how good Springfield has been. They took a couple tough losses, but they've avenged a few of those losses in the playoffs. And no joke, by taking out a team like Moeller, they get the win in overtime by a score of 26-19. That game was in overtime, no less, too. So that was a real good game between those as well. And then on the other side, the local team for us is Lakewood St. Ed's, and they just continue to hammer teams. And this was no different. Hilliard Bradley, kind of an up-and-coming school, haven't been around too long. But they've certainly proved their mettle. But they were just no match. Most like most teams, with the exception of Massillon, I believe. St. Ed's comes away with a 28-3 victory over Hilliard Bradley. Brandon White, sophomore running back, running behind that, just the fantastic offensive line they have. It's tough to stop them. Like, you can't stop them. It's almost impossible to do. I wanted to talk about more specifically. The Springfield game was played at Piqua. All right, Piqua, got it right. And then the St. Ed's game was played at Arlen Field in Mansfield. So that's going to set up Springfield taking on St. Ed's. We'll talk about that game here in a little bit. Division II, state semifinals. We did have three Northeast Ohio teams with the way the region's set up. It's kind of weird like that in Division II, but it was Cincinnati Anderson taking on Massillon Washington. This game was played at historic Crew Stadium in Columbus, and Massillon completely blew out Cincinnati Anderson 55-7. Massillon remains undefeated. They are still looking for their first state championship won on the field through by means of tournament. They'll certainly give themselves a good shot at that. And then the other semifinal, arguably one of the best games you'll see out of all these state semifinals, Avon took on Hoban. This game was played at Byers Field in Parma, and Rob's going to talk about this game.
Yeah, and this was a great game, guys. And Avon, for the most part, was in control of this game. The Avon defense all year, realistically, has done a great job, and they forced Hoban a 3-and-out early on, and they surprised the Knights with a 63-yard scoring drive. And Blake Elder, I mean, he has been a sensational story, only being a sophomore. 3 huge passes and a 17-yard touchdown strike to Matt Maxey, the wide receiver. Owen Warwick's kick was good. It was 7-0, and in the first half, Hoban was able to get 3 on a field goal, but it was 7-3 at half. And there was a chance where Avon's Connor Ralston intercepted a pass from Hoban, ran it inside the 5-yard line, but a holding penalty pushed the ball back, and the Eagles were unable to get any points out of that, which was a huge thing. And again, at half it was 7-3. Jacorian Caffey, he had a really nice night. 16 carries, 112 yards. But Hoban, they had a three-prong running back in Xavier Williams, who he had 108 yards on 8 carries. We had Caleb Jones, 13 carries, 71 yards, and Braylon Feister, he had 10 carries on 50 yards. Quarterback Talon Boykin, he had 45 yards rushing, and that's a lot of what Hoban did on this night, and they stayed close. At one point in this game, Avon led 14-3 in the game. Some penalties really stalled some Avon drives in this game, but it was 14-3, and Jacorian Caffey, he had the 6-yard run that pushed it to 14-3 before Xavier Williams of Hoban went 39 yards on a touchdown run, and then again it was Caleb Jones on a 2-yard run, so it was 17-14. Then it was Owen Warwick's chance as time was going to expire. They called a timeout. It was a 42-yard field goal attempt for Avon, and it just fell short with 5 seconds left in the game. And, a lot of the people here, Tim Tyrell, the head coach of Hoban, he said Coach Elder is one of the best coaches in the state of Ohio for what he's done, and he thought Avon is one of the best teams in the state of Ohio. I mean, he talked a lot of praise, and he says when he thinks of Division II football, it's Hoban, Massillon, and Avon right at the top, and those are the 3 teams in this division that are right at the top, and Avon's been consistently good. They run into a buzzsaw with Hoban. This is one of the closer games that, I thought they had it. The defense played really well for Avon, and Avon loses their starting quarterback. They go to Blake Elder, who's only a sophomore, and it seemed like they still were able to put up points, and the defense really of Avon I thought was very impressive this season. Coach Elder probably did one of his finest jobs coaching this team, and the rest of the coaching staff. They have a lot of talent in Avon, and they always seem to regroup. They don't really have a rebuild, and we've seen it, but they lose 17-14 in this one. A tough loss. I know Coach Elder was really sad at the end of this one, and thought his team was right there and it had every chance to win it, but he did give praise to Hoban on playing a great game. Again, a tough season, but give credit to Avon. They really hung around and put themselves in a chance where they could, there were chances in this game where they could win it, with the turnovers, and they got to take advantage there. But they kick a 42-yarder. Owen Warwick, pretty solid usually, but, that a 42-yarder is no slouch. So he just fell a little bit short. It was on target, but Avon fell in this one, guys. And a really close game. And what a game, considering Massillon Washington won 55-7. This a lower scoring game, and both teams played pretty well here.
These were 2 teams, I think, when you look at the score and you look at the way this game played out, and I was following a little bit of it here and there during my turkey hangover. But, these are 2 teams that are not unfamiliar with each other. A lot of times we see it, especially in this part of the state tournament, where teams are not familiar. So maybe one team just executes better. This was not the case. This was two teams that are no stranger, very familiar with each other. And like you said, Rob, Avon hung in there. And Hoban is not, they are a juggernaut. And make no mistake, they are a juggernaut in Division II. They plow over teams week in and week out. We see that. Same thing with Madison Washington. Same thing really with Avon. When these two teams got together, it came down to what it always comes down to really in playoff football: special teams and limiting penalties. And you mentioned it, Rob. A lot of drives for Avon stalled. When they had Hoban down, they had opportunities to add to that lead. But they did one thing they shouldn't have done, and that was let Hoban hang around. Because Hoban has the players. They can do this, and they don't need much time to get back on track. So you got to take advantage of those opportunities. And I'm sure, again, all praise to Hoban. They did a great job. But again, how about Avon this year? Like you mentioned, losing their starting quarterback midway through their playoff run, having to turn to a sophomore. Again, a coach's son probably knows the playbook better than everybody on that team and anyone else who's ever come through there because he's grown up with it, right? But to have that pressure heaped on you, and again, to have an opportunity, and I don't fault, 42-yard field goal, I couldn't kick it. You see it week in and week out that, on college game day, that they bring people out there.
Yeah, what is that, a 10-yard field goal?
No one comes close. So a kid that was on target, didn't have the leg as a high school player, I don't hang your head at all. Yeah, it sucks situation. Obviously it's what you want, but again, congratulations to Avon. Again, they run into what it is that one of these years they're going to figure out how to beat Hoban.
Yeah, they
one
almost
of these years
did.
They're going to get there because they're consistently there. They're always there, and Hoban's coach is right. It's Avon, it's Massillon, Washington, and it's Hope. Those are the top three in this division, and I don't care what anyone else says. And that's taking into account teams like Highland. Teams like those are good teams, but these are the top three. And there's usually one from Cincinnati that jumps in there every now and then. Or maybe one from Toledo that got on a hot streak last year and did that. But now we're seeing the same three teams here every year, and that's a testament to how good that coaching staff is and that program is at Avon.
Well, it was pretty even. Each team threw an interception. Each team fumbled twice, but did not lose those fumbles. And Hoban had 7 penalties for 65 yards, and it was Avon 10 for 69. So it's pretty even, and offensively, realistically, pretty even on the total offensive side of the ball. 336 for Hoban and 268. Hoban really didn't pass very much, 58 yards there. Blake Elder, 13 of 28, 141 and a touchdown. So it was pretty balanced for Avon running and passing in this game, but for Hoban mostly rushing the football in this one.
Well, I was just going to say, Rob, you mentioned how even that this game was, and it's the little things that could make a huge difference. And one of those things is those penalties. Even though Avon only had penalties of 10 penalties of, 60-something yards, one of those penalties, resulted in a big play being called back. And those are the difference in such tightly contested games that can either win or lose it for a team. And in this case, whether or not it would have or not, who knows? But even last week during the regional final matchup, one key stat that went overlooked, I thought a little bit, because Avon did win, is the fact that their penalties, they doubled Highland in penalties. They had 12, and I, looking at that, I was curious to see how that would go into this state semifinal matchup. It didn't hurt them to an extent where they doubled Hoban, but little things like that could cause real big problems. And in this case, I think it hurt them. Obviously it did. But for Avon to come out and play like that with a sophomore quarterback, you wonder how it would have been different with Nolan Good in there. Yeah. But Blake Elder held his own. He's, learning on the fly, which is to have that early experience as a sophomore in which you figure Avon's going to be there for the foreseeable future is excellent for him.
Absolutely.
And on top of that, it's excellent for Avon knowing you have what is likely going to be your next starting quarterback in Blake Elder. And again, you got him for his junior and his senior year with, a lot of talent coming back. Obviously, you're losing some talent now out of Avon. You're losing Hamilton. You're losing Ja'Cory and Caffey. You're losing some of those receivers, so you want to make sure. Obviously, the way Avon has done it every year is they just reload some other potential great, area player into those areas. But it's going to be interesting to see how Avon pivots now when you don't have Ja'Cory Caffey. But again, they really and we talked a little bit about this last week. They didn't have to rely on him all that much during the regular season, which was a benefit because he wasn't as worn down or treaded up when he came into this playoff run, and it allowed Coach Elder and the Eagles to pivot and say, okay, our starting quarterback's down. We can lean a little bit on Ja'Cory Caffey because we haven't been able to do that all year. But I think getting this valuable experience for a sophomore quarterback is great. It's fantastic because one, it's high pressure situations. You're there. You understand the stakes. You play at a high level. You're playing the best of the state, and you can put yourself on the map early. And I think that's what Blake Elder did in these last 3 games. He did what he was supposed to do. He managed the game. He played quarterback. He did a great job, but he didn't cost his team. He wasn't the reason they lost. He was a good quarterback, a good performance, solid performance since taking over. And I think that's a testament to one. You got to talk about the lineage, right? I mean, he's the coach's kid. Yeah, you know what I mean. There's some talent there, right? But also the fact that program is very, very well run from top to bottom, and that there's that expectation, next man up. And when you step into those, purple and gold, and you step on the field for the Avon Eagles, you better come correct. You better do your job, and that's the expectation. That's what we talk about, the difference between a good team that has a good run and a great program, when there's that culture there. And there's definitely that culture at Avon. And again, that's why they're one of the top 3 in the state.
Well, you think about it too. I mean, Nolan Good is only a junior, so
right.
he's gonna come back, and you would think that maybe Coach Blake Elder maybe earned himself a competition at the very least next year. But Nolan Good is obviously no slouch, Nolan Good's he's really good, no pun intended, and Max Maxey is back. He was a junior this year. It just you're right, Sean. They just this is in really everybody here. Avon just continues to reload. Coach Elder has just a tremendous program. It starts when they're young and developing, as Coach Elder mentioned earlier. They don't play to win. I have to be careful how I say this. They don't play to win every game in the sense that they're pulling out all the stops to win a junior high level game or a middle school level game. They're developing their players. They're using it as a developing ground. If they win, obviously they want to win, but if they don't, but everyone's able to play, get to know you get real field time in, knowing the systems, getting kind of trying to recognize what's going out on the field instead of just staying on the sidelines and watching the best players go both ways and do everything like that. Those are the small things that you don't think make a big difference, but obviously they make a huge difference when you get to the varsity level, because who knows, some of those junior and middle schoolers that don't play at that point in time, those are the guys that could step up and be your studs when they're juniors or even seniors. I'll speak from experience. I didn't start as a position player until I was a senior. It was pretty tough to crack the lineup in Brunswick, but I finally got there as a senior and had a decent year. But Coach Elder has talked about just how it all starts from the youth program all the way up, and they all speak the same language. They all know what the goal is, and by the time they're getting up to the varsity level, junior varsity, freshman level, they have a pretty good idea what needs to happen. And then Coach Elder and the players, it kind of runs itself. And again, I say that in the most complimentary of ways. It's not that Coach Elder doesn't have his hands on everything, but the culture he has instilled from the youth program all the way up, it's a cascading effect, and it obviously took a lot of time for it to get to this point. But they're there now, and the last step for them right now is to win a state championship, and it doesn't get much closer than what they did with Hoban this year. They had a real good look at it, and I think we all know that they're going to be in it for the long run, and putting themselves in the conversation again in 2024. So with that, that is the Division II state semifinals. Let's jump back into the Division III state semifinals. First one did feature a local team, the Division III state champions from 2020 and 2021. The Chardon Hilltoppers took on Toledo Central Catholic, the reigning. I'm not calling them defending because they're not defending a title. They literally cannot do that. I read that I read that somewhere and I cringed. They are the reigning Division II state champions, not the defending, but they certainly they took no prisoners here either. Toledo Central Catholic, Chardon hung tough. Make no mistake, Coach Hewitt had the Hilltoppers ready and primed for this game, but Toledo Central Catholic just too much. They get a 35-7 victory. They do return to the state championship for the second straight year, this time in Division III. This game was played in Xenia, down in the southeast Ohio area. And then Salina took on Bishop Watterson. That game was played at, where did that played at? I have to click off of this. That game was played at. Was that game played at Xenia? Toledo Central Catholic and Chardon was played at Elyria. My apologies.
Elyria, yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
Salina and Bishop Watterson. That game was played in at Xenia. Bishop Watterson with a 27-14 victory over Salina. Bishop Watterson gets the victory there. And that's going to set up a couple really, really good a bunch of real good state championship games coming up here. Just to, because we have a few minutes before our interviews, we'd be remiss if we didn't at least mention the Division IV brackets here. If we want, we can move on. Let's do the Division IV brackets if the computer allows me to do this correctly.
Well, I don't have the brackets. I just have all the state finals matchups for
all the regions.
For all the regions. That's what I did. I will say this: Salina, the Bulldogs. You are a Dayton area-ish team for me. I recognize that. I also have felt the pain and the suffering that comes with losing to Columbus Bishop Watterson in the state semifinals. So I share your pain. Congratulations, Columbus Bishop Watterson. Great job. I will not be a sore loser, but I will say this, Salina, I empathize with your pain. I've gone through it. 22 years ago, I did the same thing, losing in heartbreaking fashion to Columbus Bishop Watterson to miss out on going to the state championship. Great season, Salina Bulldogs. Congratulations, Columbus Bishop Watterson. Your prize is to face Toledo Central Catholic. And welcome to that, because
should be a good game.
I was not expecting Toledo Central Catholic to handle Chardon the way they did. To limit that team, Chardon has been on the ascent all year, especially in this playoff run. They've been getting better and better and better every year. And we talked about it. They were a 7 seed, and really you could have easily seen them as a 2 or 3. And then the seeding, once you get past the second round, really doesn't matter. Once you get past the first round, really doesn't matter. But Chardon is a team that's always there. And for Toledo Central Catholic to go down a division and still be this dominant is pretty impressive. Again, it's for enrollment. We get that, and there is fluctuation. Some teams are Division II, your stalwarts are Division I always. Your St. Ed's, your St. Ignatius, your Cincinnati Molars, those are there. But there is movement, and it's tough to go up or down and maintain a level of consistency that Toledo Central Catholic has done. And that's been really, really impressive this year for Toledo Central Catholic to be, we say they're not, we understand they're not the defending, but they are the reigning Division II. And if they can somehow get a Division II, drop down and win Division III, I mean, that's an impressive feat for that class or those players to be dominant in 2 different divisions. I don't know if that's, I'm sure it's happened. But
I think Hoban's bounced between 2 and 3 too.
And have they won state championships back to back? Okay.
I think. Well, I don't know if they did it back to back, but I know that Hoban's been kind of going up and down. Kirtland's done the same thing in 5 and 6.
Right.
A few years ago, Coldwater and them. It's
Maria,
absolutely.
Probably. But it's still impressive to come to win this Division II. Drop down a division and be dominant, and then now you find yourself in the state championship game for the second straight year in a different division. That's pretty impressive. That's a program too. I mean, that's what we talk about. We're talking about programs here. We're not talking. I mean, there are some good teams, but there's a reason that these teams are the same every year. There's a reason why St. Ed's and Springfield now and Hoban and Toledo Central Catholic and Mass and Washington, they're always there because they built their programs on successful foundations.
And with speaking of that, quickly to Division 4, we'll just briefly talk about them before we get to the state championship talk. Glenville did take out Canton South they doubled them up 42-21. The game was played in Wadsworth. Glenville advances to the Division 4 state championship for the second consecutive year. They are the reigning defending Division 4 state champions. In the other semifinal, Kettering Bishop Alter absolutely destroyed Steubenville by a score of 48-0. That game was played in Westerville. And that's going to set up quite the state championship game in Division 4. Local flavor here, Division 5. Perry gets a 22-8 victory over Canal Winchester Harvest Prep. The game was played at Shelby. 22-8, Perry advances to the state championship. They will take on Liberty Center. That game is played. They defeated Germantown Valley View 14-10. The game was played in Sydney. So we have Perry taking on Liberty Center in Division 5. Division 6, Kirtland continues on their roll. Pretty good game, all things considered. They do defeat Sugar Creek Garraway 17-0. The game was played in Louisville. They will take on Versailles, a 30.
Versailles.
God bless it. I always Versailles. Rematch between Versailles and Kirtland. This Versailles with a 30-13 victory over Columbus Grove. Game was played at Wapakoneta. And then Division 7, Dalton, a 55-7 winner over Caldwell.
Wow.
That game was played in Zanesville. They will take on the aforementioned Maria Stein Marion Local juggernaut that they are. They were a 42-0 victory over Hamler Patrick Henry. That game was played in Lima. So we'll go through the state championship games here after we get done with our interviews. Again, we are just about to be joined by Twinsburg head coach Charles Salter. He was the Division II All Inland District Coach of the Year. And had a
Easy for you to say.
Had a couple first teamers in Jaden Dye and Joey Pollock on that squad that along with them there, and along with many other other players from the honorable mention, the second team as well. And then we'll be also joined by Tom Thome from Amherst. Amherst started out the year pretty well, 3-1. They got into the meat grinder that we always call the SWC, but they played very, very competitively against some good teams, and so they put together a pretty good season, given where they've been in the past. So we're looking forward to talking to Coach Thome about that. So while we wait for Coach Salter to come on, let's take a step. We'll take a quick break. We're going to hear from our sponsors, and when we come back at the High School Football Show presented by Ray Fountain State Farm Insurance, we will have Twinsburg head coach Charles Salter join us on the show. See you in a little bit.
Sports on Tap's high school football coverage is on every Monday night at 7:30 p.m. Watch live on YouTube and make sure to subscribe. Sports on Tap's high school football coverage is presented by Raymond Felton State Farm.
Have you compared insurance rates lately? Are you satisfied with your current insurance provider? If not, look no further than Ray Felton State Farm, a proud sponsor of Sports on Tap. For a free quote, call his office at 234-284-2996 or visit him online at rayfelton.com.
RRT Productions. We shoot, we edit, you win. Visit our website at www.rrt-productions.com.
For handmade quality leather products, check out Hand and Built Leather Goods. Check out their website, www.handbuiltleather.com. GV Art and Design, original and one of a kind. Check them out on their website at www.gvartwork.com and use the code ONTAP10 to get 10% off your full order. GV Art and Design.
back to Sports on Tap. This is the high school football show presented by Ray Felton, State Farm Insurance. Got to hear about Ray Felton and all of our other tremendous sponsors just now. Make sure you stick around for the end of our show to get all the information about all of our sponsors. Check out their websites, and take advantage of the goods and services that they all provide. All right, we went through the state semifinals relevant to the divisions that we cover. We will be talking about the state championships here in a little bit, but we're joined by. He's getting close to friend to show status. He's done twice.
I say we give it to him. I gotta check with Josh, and he's offline right now. But I'm pretty sure we said friend to show status.
Twice in the same season. Certainly expedites.
It happens, right?
We are joined by Twinsburg head coach and also the Division II All-Inland District Coach of the Year, Charles Saulter of the Twinsburg Tigers. Coach, thanks for joining us. How you doing tonight?
Hey, doing great. Thanks for having me, and thanks for all you guys do for high school sports.
We appreciate that. You certainly Twinsburg, as we talked to the before the season started. And kind of where things left off last year, and you're expecting some big things this year. And I think it's safe to say that I think we think you delivered on that. A playoff berth, a playoff win, very competitive games throughout the season. Even the games that you didn't come out on top on. It was very tough sledding, and I think every team that you played will tell you that. But let's talk about let's talk about the playoffs first. You got the victory against Nordonia, and I think we talked to Jaden about this game, about this game coming up, where it's tough to beat the same team twice, and you obviously had the team prepped up for that. But from your perspective, how was it preparing for a team that you already played? It would have been about 5 weeks prior to that. So you guys have changed by a little bit since then. They certainly changed a little bit too. But how was it preparing for a team that you're playing the second time in, call it, 6 weeks?
Yeah, well, it's certainly pros and cons to that. The pros is that you know what they're going to do, right? They're not just going to wholesale change everything that they do. So a lot of things what they're going to do offensively, defensively, and special teams, and you've got game film of yourself playing them prior. And if it's successful, you're thinking they're going to come out and do some of those similar things. The cons to that is that they're going to come out with something new. They have to, right? Because you've watched them on film all these weeks, and you've got that solid game of you playing against them. So, probably about 85 to 90%, they knew what we would do, and we knew what they would do. But that's that extra 10% that you're going to try to add in to try to get them on a couple different things. So. It's always fun. We have some good battles with Nordonia. They're a well-coached team, and it's a rivalry for us. Our kids were really, really excited about it. Obviously, not being successful in the regular season versus them, they wanted that rematch. They wanted the opportunity for that. And so, once I announced officially who we were playing, that was all I needed to do. And our kids took that week of practice very seriously, and they were ready to go on that Friday night.
Coach, it's beneficial that we're talking with you because we talked to you in the beginning of the season and there was a lot of unknowns, right? You didn't know how the season was going to play out, injuries, things like that. But your guys' progression from, say, week one up all the way through, obviously the disappointing loss to Canfield was, you guys got better every single week. Even in those losses, you guys continue to grind out those tough plays and really, progress as a team and as a program. What were some of the mile markers that you saw, going through the season that were like kind of those galvanizing moments for you and your team?
You know what? Honestly, I have to say, and this is going to sound kind of crazy, I'd have to say probably those 3 losses that we had. And I say that to say that, I've been on some teams where you go 3 straight losses like that, some people start to pack it in and they're saying, hey, we're not going to get what we want out of this season here. This is not the season, this is not the season that we wanted. And some things can go south really quickly. But our motto this year was don't flinch. And our kids didn't. And they went through those three losses and realized, I think, that they were good enough. They were as good as those teams that we played, and could play with those guys. And so, anytime you're going to lose to a Hudson, Nordonia, and Wadsworth, you're losing to 3 very, very solid programs. And so we said, to ourselves, once we came out of that out of that run there that we really had a chance we felt to win out and get back in the playoffs and kind of rejuvenate ourselves and possibly have the ability to play a Nordonia again or a Hudson again, something along those lines. So I think the 3 losses really kind of taught us a little bit about ourselves. It taught us that some things we need to work on if we're going to continue to do what we need to do and get the results that we want to get. But then it also taught us that we can play with them, and if, I think when you're on the road at Wadsworth and you're winning in that game in the second half, that's showing that your program, we're heading in the right direction at that point. And we didn't pull that game out. And Coach Todd does a phenomenal job with those guys, but it really showed that it's not just the coaches saying, hey, you can play with them. It's now players believing, hey, we really have the ability to do this, so let's go out and get it done.
Yeah, and Coach, I mean, you've been – I think every year you coach, you probably learn something new. From the beginning of this season to the end, did you learn something, whether it's coaching differently? I know with so many different players, you really have to coach every player differently. But from the beginning to the end, did you learn something as a coach that you're like, okay, so this is working, but it wasn't working before or last year, but this year it's really working, and you see those strides towards an even better ball club?
Yeah, you know what? I'd say that it always is very interesting to see what adjustments you make in game. I don't know how many times where I'm drawing it up on Sunday, and I'm like, we got them here. And then we get to Friday night, and we don't have them there at all. So we got to figure out real quick. You better know, if they do this, then we have to do this, and figuring that out. And then also too, I think also is really, really continuing. And me, myself as a coach, I've got to continue to work on this as I go here. Is you get into your scheme and you get into the things that you do, and you feel like you can do well, but it really, really is about the players, honestly. It doesn't really matter what I draw up and what I feel like we're going to do. So we had some defensive players that went down this year that just were key guys to us. And, we had to change our scheme to fit some new players and things defensively. And it worked out better than what we ever thought it could work out. Had a shutout versus a very good Brecksville team that scored on everybody and held Nordonia to 10 points, which might have been their lowest throughout the season. So, I mean, it's really just learning how to make those adjustments and understanding that, the what if, then you've got to do that.
Coach, we're talking with Twinsburg head coach Charles Salter. Coach, let's talk about the playoff game. You go to Riverside, and we all know Riverside's had a really good run the last few years. You guys gave them all they can handle. Talk about the preparation for that game, the atmosphere, and what the feeling was coming out of it. Even though obviously it wasn't a win, but just how I have to think there's some optimism coming out of that game.
Yeah, I mean, we were blessed to be there. We felt very excited to be there. We knew it would be a great atmosphere. It's week 12 in the playoffs in Northeast Ohio. You're going to get an electric atmosphere just about anywhere that you go. Riverside, we knew they'd be an incredibly physical team. There's no doubt about it. They play in a physical conference like we do. And they were very successful. They beat a good Mentor team. So we knew we really had to play lights out that game. We knew some things had to go our way. And the ball did bounce our way a few times, and we just weren't really able to capitalize. I will say, and I hate to admit it, but they were way bigger in person than I thought they were going to be on film. We got us, and they walked out, and I was like, wow, that's a really physically good-looking football team. So they were well coached, had great size. They flew around, and I'll be honest, that probably was the toughest team we played defensively all year. We've been able to run the ball on just about anybody at some point in time throughout the game, of course, and they really did a great job versus us, and they playing well versus us.
There's Josh. Go ahead, buddy.
Josh is back. Okay, all right. Josh is back.
Yeah, sorry guys, had to take care of some real work stuff while we're on. So I apologize. So I Coach, thanks for joining us. It's good to see you again. Sorry I missed the first part of the interview, but I want to kind of switch gears just a little bit. And I saw on Saturday, you had a little video post on your Twitter/X account about the Michigan-Ohio State game. And I know we got a couple Buckeye fans here who were pretty heated. So can you get into a little more detail of what that was all about?
Well, number one, we can't all be winners. You know what I mean? We can't all be winners. But you know what? I've been a Michigan fan. I probably would have been. Everybody always asks me, how did you become a Michigan fan? I really started liking Charles Woodson. That was one of my favorite players in the 96, 97 team. I was around 10 years old, and I've just been a fan ever since. But you know, I was excited about it. It was a hell of a game. I thought it could have went either way. I thought Michigan made maybe one or two plays when they needed to make it, and they were able to be successful versus a good Ohio State team. Contrary to what some might believe, I don't think Ohio State should fire Ryan Day. I still think.
I agree with you on that. I mean,
that's because you don't live in Columbus. Like, go to Columbus and say that, and you might get hurt.
Yeah, probably will.
Some people are crazy. I mean, he has a great record. He's lost to Michigan 3 times, but realistically, I mean, this game was like you said, it could have went either way. I think
absolutely.
McCord just made, you know, a few mistakes that were crucial there. You know, that big interception that, you know, gave Michigan a short field to deal with. But, you know, it was a great game. It's a great rivalry. And what are you going to do, you know? Like you said, it could have went either way.
On top of that, Coach, you know, when you're watching a game like that, is it hard for you to watch a game as a fan, or do you just naturally put your coach glasses on too while you're watching it?
It's probably a little bit of both. You know, if I'm not watching the game with other coaches, then a lot of times they have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about. As I talk about, you know, I'm calling out coverages. I'm saying that this is your shot here, and they didn't double team the backer up. They didn't double team the 3-tech up to this guy, and they're like, "What are you talking about?" We just gonna drink a little bit and watch the game here, but so yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. I'm always analyzing the game, and I've been asked to go to probably quite a few college football games, and to be honest with you, I really like to sit at home and watch it so that I can analyze the game from a coach's aspect and still be able to maybe get a few things from the game and that sort of thing. But I mean, being in the environment is a whole lot of fun too.
You know, I want to ask, because you're in your second year at Twinsburg, and it just, again, I didn't get the opportunity to cover one of your games in person. I know Josh covered a couple and Noah did. But everything they came back and said was, home or away, Twinsburg showed up and showed out. Like, not just the players, not just the band, but like the fans. Have you seen that that switch, I guess, flipped to now they are all in on Tigers football going forward on this, and they're ready to ride the roller coaster with you guys?
Yeah, I think the community has been a huge momentum feeder for us. I mean, they honestly, we feed off of them and they feed off of us. They're ready to go for every game, and I'll tell you, I've been a part of a lot of football games, both as, you know, as a head coach and as an assistant. The Nordonia crowd week 12 was as electric as I've been around. To be honest with you, I mean, they were there waiting for the buses when we pulled in. And they were actually at the wrong entrance and thought we were going to get off at a certain entrance there. And we pulled down, and I saw a bunch of parents and grandparents sprinting down to where we were getting off at, just so that they could show the players their signs and everything that's going on. You know, and I mean, our entire side was packed by the time we came out for pregame. I mean, it just was, you know, they really, after every single game, really were very supportive of us, understood kind of the process of what we're doing and what we're trying to get done. And they are an amazing group of people. And, you know, I've loved every bit of coaching in this community.
Hey, Coach, I know I think we're running a little short on time. It's just, you know, as you're ending this season, you know, what do you got going on for the off season? I'm sure, as you mentioned, a little bit of R&R now, but when are you guys kicking back up, and who are some players you're going to be relying on to keep this momentum going?
Yeah, so we're going to get back in January. You know, I know some guys get started now, and I think that's great, and we'll have a few kids lifting here and there, but I'm really big on when the season ends. I think I need kids to go be kids at that point. I need them to go, and I need their body to relax a little bit and rest their bodies. It's a very long football season. And then we have some other kids that are getting into basketball and wrestling and some other things that are going on as well. So we'll get back started heavily in January and get going with the weights and everything that we need to do. And I think coming back, I think it kind of all starts with our quarterback, Joey Pollock, and the things that he's been doing. He's a tremendous football player. And I just saw him mature this season, just from week one. Okay, and Joey, I'll tell you, Joey didn't play very well week one, at all. But then he matured into throwing for 2,500 yards and over 20 touchdowns. He just got better and better and better, and really took it upon himself that every single week decided, hey, I'm gonna put the team on my back here, and get the tough yards. He's a physical guy. He's not scared to run between the tackles, and really can make every throw. So I think it's gonna start with him. We got some young guys. They're gonna have to step up next year, or LeConte Matthews or Rob Herndon. We had 2 sophomore tackles last year with Big Will Cunningham and Ellery Jiho, and I think those guys are going to be guys that we're going to lean on starting for next season. And then you've got the J.D. Okumas, and you've got some of those guys that got a lot of valuable playing time last year and started for us even and did some great things. So we've got some really good young guys. Our JVs went 9-1 last year. So we feel very positive about where we're at and the direction that we're going as a program.
And I'm going to guess with your success, too, you'll probably have some other kids that you might not expect to maybe play other sports that are going to want to be part of, this winning program now in Twinsburg, that you turned it around and you saw the excitement in the playoffs. I'm going to guess maybe some more kids from other sports might be interested in coming along for the ride.
Yeah, I mean that's the goal, right? You've got to recruit your own hallways, these days, and keep your kids in district. So we want as many kids to come out as possible. I think we were around 55, 10 through 12 last year, and we had about 28 freshmen. But we're going to graduate a lot of seniors. We had 23 seniors. So our junior class is fairly small, so we want to try to get those numbers up a little bit, and we're going to lean on some of those juniors, Joey Pollock and Josh Collins and those guys to recruit their friends out and tell them, come on out and be a part of something special, and let's continue this train.
Absolutely. Coach, we can't thank you very much for the time. Enjoy. Congratulations on a great season. We certainly enjoyed covering Twinsburg this year. Conversations with you, Jaden. So we can't thank you guys enough for giving us some of your time, especially in season. Enjoy the rest of the year, and we look forward to checking in with you next year before the season starts.
Sounds great. Thanks, guys. Thanks again for everything that you guys do. Enjoy your coverage, and I'll be sticking around and watching the rest of you guys' shows throughout the months.
Well, we appreciate it. Congratulations, Coach. Great year.
That is Twinsburg head coach Charles Saulter, again the Division II Inland District Coach of the Year. Twinsburg Tigers going 7-5 this year. They were they had 4 really tough losses to teams that won at least 1 or 2 playoff games, and it was fantastic. So we will shift from one Division II school from Division II Region 5 to Division II Region 6. And actually, we're going to go far west from Twinsburg. We're going to Amherst. We're talking with head coach Thome, formerly of Lakewood, now of Amherst. And we're happy to have Coach on. Coach, thanks for taking the time to join us tonight. How you doing?
Thanks, guys. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me on. But what about Charles being a Michigan fan? What is that?
I know.
Mean, come on.
I mean, he was happy on Saturday.
That he was.
Between yesterday and Saturday, not a good 2 days for us.
I know.
Rough weekend.
No, that was a rough one. I was back. I was talking to somebody at work today. I mean, this is back as it felt to me as if I was back in the '90s when I kept watching Michigan beat Ohio State every freaking year in the '90s when we had either the superior team or an even team. And I don't want to give Ryan Day the John Cooper treatment yet, but yeah,
he's got to win next year.
It's all right.
If you look at the past decade, Ohio State has had Michigan's number for probably about 13 years. So they're at 3 now. So we got to hopefully put an end to that next year. Hopefully, but it was a great game. Like he said, it could have went either way. Michigan just made a few more plays, no doubt about it.
Well, Coach. Let's talk about happier times, and let's talk about Amherst this year. You guys started out pretty hot. You got into the meat grinder of the SWC, which you're familiar with from some of your days in Lakewood. Some of the teams there. But talk about your season. Talk about some of the players that did really well, and started the season and some of the things you faced over the course of the year.
Yeah, I was pleased with this past season. I thought we were, ahead of what I thought we would be. Week in and week out, I thought we improved. We were still working on a lot of stuff, and I say this all the time. We're in the meat grind of the Southwest, and we're working on things that they're not working on. We started off well, but injuries really took a hold of us. We didn't have a lot of depth, but the thing I found about my kids, we were tough. They competed week in and week out. Week 2 on Wednesday, our starting left tackle goes down, and we had to move a tight end to tackle on Wednesday night. But and against Buckeye, tough as nails team, but we did all right. I was really pleased with Cole Norris, our quarterback. I thought he grew every week. And what a lot of people don't know is, we give Cole free reign. By like week 6, he was allowed to check any play. He was checking pass plays. We practice what we want him to see. He's one of my aides, so we watch a lot of film together, but he's making those calls. So if he's throwing an interception, you guys can't yell at me. It's him. He's such a bright kid, and we've got some talented skill. Eli Solak was leading Lorain County in receiving until he broke his collarbone. Tristan Young, week in and week out, it seemed like he was getting doubled. And Cole was still finding, 4th, 5th receivers week in and week out. So, yeah, I was extremely pleased.
Yeah, there's
sorry.
No, go ahead, Sean.
I was just going to ask, being your first year in a program, and trying to establish, get your systems in place and things like that. Like, how quickly did that come together for you? Were you? I mean, obviously, you said you're still working on stuff, but like, how comfortable were you with where everything was on the team throughout the year?
It's funny. I come in and I'm like, we can't do this. You could probably ask my coaches. Unless I see it on the field, I don't ever want to see it on a game. And offensively, I really had to take a step back because my coaches were like, Coach, we can do this, we can do that. Defensively, we weren't as ahead as I would have liked to have been. We were very, in my opinion, vanilla. But at the same time, we're starting 5 sophomores in the Southwest. And I knew going into the season, if we had to do that, we were going to have some growing pains. However, those sophomores, they started because they earned it. In week 1, I didn't start any sophomores. And defensively, it wasn't because of injuries. It's because those kids were earning it. They were on scout team. They were giving our offense fits. And they found ways to get on the field week in and week out. And they did a tremendous job, which is only going to help us next year.
Yeah, and you guys, I thought offensively, you guys were putting up some big time numbers. You were like you mentioned, you had weapons all over the place. J.R. Byers was solid out of the backfield. You had really good play, and your defense stepped up. I mean, I was impressed at the end of the season. You guys really competed with Avon. I thought you went toe-to-toe with them, and you know how good Avon is and where they're at. So was that kind of a stepping stone? You're a team like, wow, we're really throwing punch for punch? Because I know you guys put up some points in that game. And Avon, like you said, they have weapons all over and they're established. But you're in your first season, so you're probably learning every game, what works and what doesn't. But I thought overall you guys had a really, really good year, and you competed in every game.
Yeah, JR actually went down with an ankle injury against Berea. And our offense really, that's when Cole took over because we really wanted to be balanced. And when JR went down, Cole, that's when he really took off. We would have liked to have been a little bit more, balanced, but we weren't. And against Avon, the kids just showed up and they didn't let the bright lights, they didn't let Avon, get to them. And they accepted the challenge, and we played a really good half against them. But I mean, they're just a dominant team, well coached, athletes all over the place, and up front. I mean, up front.
Yeah. That's all I have to say is up front.
Yes.
I wanted to ask. I always ask coaches this when we talk at the end of the season. Was there any player that kind of came out of nowhere for you? I know probably all your players, given that this is really the first year you're working with them. But was there anyone that really surprised you with how quickly they caught on and really progressed? I know you mentioned Cole, but is there anyone else that maybe you were pretty impressed with or surprised by?
Yeah, defensively, if you told me I was going to start a 5'9", 150-pound will linebacker, I would have told you you're absolutely crazy. And going into camp, linebacker was one of those positions that we didn't know a lot about. And my defensive coordinator / linebacker coach, Coach Custer, kept saying, this Jeff Reichert kid is doing everything right. He's making every read. He's coming downhill. And I'm like, guys, he's just not big enough. He's not this. Sure enough, he started 9 games. He led us in tackles. He was our leader. He threw all 140 pounds at every single person. But, just a tremendous kid. After every single week, I'd be in the locker room and he'd be bruised, broken. And I'm like, Jeff, you all right, man? Coach, I'll be fine tomorrow. And he's one of the kids that we're thinking he's got to be a leader this year. But he does everything right. And there's a couple of those kids. I was actually talking to my sophomores today because a lot of them are in my classroom. And I was like, yeah, I didn't expect any of you guys to play. And they look at you like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, no, I wasn't expecting you, 15-year-old boys to be playing against 18-year-old men against Avon. And then they did. And, they surprised me. And, if anything, I held them back. You know what I mean? And I made them earn it. And David Duziak was a sophomore free safety, started for us. Mason Morales led the team in sacks. And he probably only played 40% of the defensive, plays. That kid, DN, D-tackle, linebacker, Sam, he was just finding ways to be on the field because he was just a pain in the neck on scout defense. And we said, let's go. So really excited about if those 3 players. I would have told you they weren't playing this year, and all 3 of them not only contributed, they did a heck of a job.
Talking with Amherst coach Thome. Coach, now you have a full season under your belt. Got the you'll be able to get in, a full off season right after the season ends and getting into the spring and whatnot. We always ask this question about with coaches about the youth programs. How important will it be to, as you're working with your own staff, kind of organizing and getting the youth program kind of where you want it to be. I know there's obviously not football going on the field for the youth programs, but I have to imagine the wheels are turning about how to get more involvement and how to get everybody on the same page.
Yeah, our numbers are actually really good. I have 2 of my coaches that are a part of the Junior Comets. We have a great participation down there. We had 2 7th grade teams this year. We had close to 50 kids, and once we split them, both teams went undefeated. Our 8th grade team was co-champs of the Southwest. At the freshman level, we lost 3 games, but our quarterback went down and we lost 2 of those games. We're really excited that our JV team only lost 3 games this year. So from, JV below, we only lost about 5 games. And we're really excited about them. We're really excited about our freshmen now that are going to be sophomores and our incoming freshmen. There's a lot of talent, a lot of athleticism and size, which we need in our program. But, from the Junior Comets on up, we're all on the same page. I went to their clinics. They went to my clinics. And it feels really good to have a whole community football program together and all on one page.
Well, I thought you had a question, Sean.
No, sorry. I'm trying to make sure my dog doesn't bark, so I'm trying to not move.
Well, it wouldn't be the first time if he did.
So I'm hoping she's not crying.
Yeah.
So your dog, my 3-week-old, all good.
Yeah, you yapping at the door, so I'm trying to not move so he knows I'm not in here. Sorry about that.
Coach, we asked Coach Saulter this question. Well, that's the same with you. What's going on for the rest of the season? When's the off season really starting up for you? And who are some of the other players that you're looking forward to making some big jumps outside of the ones you already mentioned?
Yeah, we started our official off season today. And we've got so many kids that participate in baseball and wrestling and track. and we're fortunate enough to have a trainer that lifts all the teams. So, I might have my time slot from 3 to 4, but the 90% of my program is lifting, throughout the off season, which is really good. And they're lifting with the same trainer. We those freshmen, incoming freshmen I talked about, we already have 20 of them in the weight room, which for me is crazy. With basketball going on, with junior high wrestling going on, we're really excited about our athletes. We return a lot of guys back. We obviously returned Cole, but JR's back. All of our outside receivers, our entire secondary except for Landon Fellenstein comes back. We've got to figure out some things on the offensive line. We graduated all 5 starters, but we were really, really impressed with our JV line. But like I said, we lost 4 or 5 games throughout the program, 7th grade on up. That means nothing unless we tackle the weight room. It'll be one of those, hey, we were co-Southwest champs in 8th grade, but we didn't do any work in the weight room, and it stops there. And that's the message I have to these guys. You compete with these programs in the Southwest. Well, what's the difference? The difference is the weight room. And it's not just the weight room with the football program. All these kids are doing extra in Lorain County. It's crazy. You see these kids on Twitter. They're going to this personal coach. They're going here. They're going to T3, and they're all at their programs lifts as well. And, that's what I've been telling my guys. We've got to do what we're doing and the extra. This upcoming season, we're going to be on the road 6 games. We only have 4 home games. So, we got to get battle tested. We got to go through adversity. But I'm really excited with, our skill guys. We've got between Cole, Eli, Tristan, David Duziak, a lot of guys that caught a lot of balls, and a healthy JR. And defensively, Ashton Draga led us in the secondary at corner. He had 3 interceptions, and after about week 4, people didn't throw that way. And there's a reason why. After every game, a lot of people came up to him and said, man, that number 2's coached up really well, and he's a year removed from an ACL injury. So, a lot of my kids, they haven't played a lot of football. Cole Norris, sophomore year was the first year I ever played quarterback. He was running back his entire life. So what he did from sophomore year to this year is crazy in terms of his growth. And he's already at it. He's already been, chomping at the bit, asking me questions. He texted me about a couple hours ago about texting another quarterback coach to get with him. He's just a great kid. I've had nothing but a great time since coming to Amherst. And it's been a pretty rough year for me. Both my parents got sick. My wife was pregnant the whole time. I got to get reconstructive ankle surgery on the 22nd.
Oh man!
I've loved every minute of Amherst. You know what I mean? The community, my parent group has been so supportive, it's just been great coming here and going to work every day. And not a lot of Michigan fans.
Well, I know I talked to you before the Buckeye game, and that was what I was going to ask you, if you've gotten more sleep, because I know you had a few younger kids, and you're like, man, I'm running on fumes, but I'm pumped about Friday nights, and it was game 1. I'm like, oh man, it's an early in the season, and he's already not getting sleep. So has the sleep progressed? Are you at the 6-hour mark at least?
6 hours? What are you talking about?
Uh-oh.
See, I have the best wife. She waited until after the season to finally have our daughter. She went way past her due date, so she was really pleasant. It's not my infant that's the issue. My 2-year-old, he won't let me sleep. He's 2.5, and he's big into football right now, so obviously I'm excited. And every 5 seconds, Dad, let's go in the basement. Let's play football. And football consists of him tackling me for about 20 minutes straight. And
well, please tell me that's not why you're getting ankle surgery.
Oh, no.
I wish, right? No, I live in Avon. I don't want to give Elder another one. No, it's a hereditary foot condition, so I got to thank my dad for it.
Oh, that's great.
Coach, you mentioned you're on the road you're on the road more than half the season next year. Do you have the same non-conference schedules you had this year as well?
Yeah, we re-upped with Copley, Buckeye, and North Olmsted. So yeah, great competition. North Olmsted makes sense. I love coaching against Buckeye, and my days at in the Suburban, very familiar with Copley. So I love the competition. It's different. Really prepares us well for the Southwest and the different dynamics we'll see.
Well, Coach, thanks a lot. Thank you for taking the time. Hopefully, good luck with your surgery.
Yeah.
Congratulations on your daughter.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, I can stay on later, guys, because I have to go take my 2-year-old to bed right now, and it's about to take 2 hours. So my wife's just at the door right now, like,
let's go. Wrap it up.
Yeah, I know this signal a lot.
Yeah.
Football season's over, Coach. Let's go.
Yeah, right.
Well, guys, thank you so much for letting me come on, and thanks, for all your guys' coverage. You guys do a great job.
We really appreciate it, and thanks for your time too. Hopefully you get a little bit of sleep.
Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
Amherst coach Tom Thome joining us joining us here at Sports on Tap. As you mentioned, Amherst had a pretty good start to the year, but lots of unfortunately some injuries to some key personnel. At a school like Amherst going against the teams that they play, some of those injuries can spell a lot of can hurt significantly.
The Southwestern Conference right now, Ed. I'm keeping an eye on Amherst. They got a lot of talent. They got a lot of talent coming through that's up and coming.
That Avon game was impressive, though. I mean, I think they scored 20 plus points. I can't remember the total, but I mean, it was actually pretty close, for sure in the first half. Avon, I think, ran away with it a little bit in the second, but Amherst, I felt like every week, they had a barn burner against Elyria, who found their running back, Kevin Jordan, throughout the season. They had a really good game with them. And early on in the season, I think, you just saw the progress, and Coach Thome has to be pretty happy. I think he found some confidence. He found some really good players there that they can lean on the offensive side. Like you said, the offensive line is losing 5 starters, which hurts. But, they've had success in their youth programs. And like you said, in the offseason, the lifting and developing those players is going to be key for them.
Yep, no doubt. So Amherst is they're setting themselves up pretty well for to throw a wrench into the Southwestern Conference. As we've noted, I mean, right now everything runs through Avon, and it's really undisputed. But right beneath them, the tiers have been kind of shifted a little bit. Berea Mid-Park came in second this year.
They had a great year
in the SWC. They only lost 2 conference games in the SWC, but everyone else lost. Besides Avon, everyone else lost at least 3. Berea Mid-Park right now, with what they got coming back, and they're obviously making some noise. Avon Lake's the stalwart. Olmsted Falls is the stalwart. North Ridgeville had a tremendous season. So I mean, the SWC is one of our favorite conferences to cover for good reason. And they consistently they beat each other up, but then they also do well in the playoffs, which is a testament to how they do during the course of the season. So that is so that's what we got for So we thank Coach Saulter and Coach Thome for coming on and joining us in the at the very beginning stages of their off season. But we do have the business to tend to of one more week of games, and all these games will be played at Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium in Canton, Ohio, the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
They just re-upped too.
What was that?
Yep.
They just re-upped, so I think, what is that for another? I didn't see the years on it.
2026
years.
Nice.
Through 2026. Yeah.
I like it though. I definitely think it's a great place to watch a game and possibly get a little history there if you visit the Hall of Fame.
So starting with Division 1, the state championship game again. Springfield takes on St. Ed's. Springfield, again, you can call them a Cinderella just based off of record alone, and that's really all. That's where that stops. Springfield is fantastic. and they're primed to give it another go against St. Ed's. Against St. Ed's, the two-time reigning defending Division I state championship. Both wins, I believe, over Springfield. So this will be number 3, battle number 3 for these two teams, and I have to go with St. Ed's until Springfield can beat them.
I like where your head's at there, Ed. I will say this: I think much like we saw in the Hoban-Avon game, these teams are very familiar with each other. There's not there, and as Coach Saulter said, he is very right. It's hard to beat a team twice. It's very difficult to beat them 3 times in a row. But can Springfield come out, 1, punch St. Ed's in the mouth, and 2, show them something that maybe they're not expecting. And I don't know if that's, one of those trick plays, something like that to kind of get them off kilter. But I'm in agreement with Ed there. I think it's St. Ed's until otherwise notified. But I think Springfield, like you said, is primed because, again, there's no secrets on St. Ed's. There's no you know what you're getting, and they're as well coached of a program as you'll ever see, and they're going to continue to try to move on to their 3rd straight state championship. And Springfield again is in their way, so we'll see if Springfield can mount the comeback or mount the upset.
All right, let's shift over to this game will be played Friday night at 7 p.m. It is the primo spot as far as, at least that's what the OHSAA tells us. But the game will be played Friday night at 7 p.m. All right, or 7:30, sorry. All right, so the Division II state championship game, this is going to be a war. Much as we would have loved to see Avon in this game, well, I'd be remiss if I didn't want to see what happens in this game. We have Massillon, Washington. They are 15-0. I believe they have the most points in. I think they have the most points, the most Harbin points, in the entire state. They have yet to lose. They do have 1 victory over St. Ed's. That is something that Hoban does not have this year. So they have a common opponent there. But this game will be played Thursday night at 7 p.m. And it's been Hoban until they have lost. That happened last year, but that team is no longer in Division II. So this is going to be the immovable object versus the irresistible force. I don't know who's going to win this game, to be quite honest with you.
If you look at it, I mean, Massillon has played tough all year. They've played some really good teams, but so has Hoban. I mean, you're right, Ed. It could be a toss-up. I might lean a little bit towards Massillon, Washington, but I don't know. I mean, I think Hoban just plays. They ran the ball a lot versus Avon, but that's because that's how that game went. They can pass too. I feel like they're a really balanced team, and Massillon, Washington, they just throughout the year has gotten stronger and stronger. And I mean, they were strong to begin with. So this one, I think, is. I can't even tell you if it's going to be a high-scoring game or a low-scoring game because I thought Hoban and Avon could have been a barn burner, but both defenses really stepped up in that one. And Massillon, Washington, I know can put up points. So can Hoban stick with Massillon, Washington if they, put up 30-plus points? I think they can because there's enough talent on that team, but this is going to be a great one. If you really want to watch some great high school football, go see all these games because realistically there's a lot of talent here.
Couldn't agree more.
I would posit this: if Hoban plays the game that they played against Avon, Massillon, Washington will wipe the floor with them. Cannot put the ball on the ground. Cannot. I mean, Massillon, Washington is playing at a level right now where you have to play really good football to match up with them. Hoban has that talent. The talent level there, I think, are even. I think just the confidence in which Massillon, Washington. I mean, they beat their opponent last week 55-7. Hoban had to come back from down 14-3 to win, and they still weren't necessarily running away with that. They had to, rely on a missed field goal, and then they go into overtime, and we don't know what that's like. If Hoban plays the way they did last week against a team like Massillon who's clicking on everything, this could get ugly quick. I don't think it's going to happen. I think both these teams recognize, obviously we're playing for state championship, but this is dominance in Division II. I like Hoban in this. I'm going Hoban. If only to say, I want Ed to continue to make the caveat that they've never won a state championship on the field, because I think it's great bulletin board material for the Tigers, but I still think it's funny every time you have to do it. So I kind of want that to happen. But maybe they use it for bulletin board material and prove you wrong, Ed. Now you can't say that anymore because they win their championship on the field.
That's very true. Very true.
I'll just chime in real quick. I think this is Massillon Washington's game. The Massillon is going to finally get that on the field championship that they've been looking for. They're just playing lights out football. They have been all year, and being the highest number of points in the state of Ohio, and against some of the opponents that they played, you can't overlook that. And I think it's theirs to lose.
And that game will be played Thursday night at 7 p.m. All right, shifting over to Division III, we have Toledo Central Catholic, the reigning Division II state champions, going for Division III state championship this year. They are going to take on Columbus Bishop Watterson. This game will be played Friday at 3 p.m. Again at Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium. Toledo Central Catholic, they ran through Division II pretty efficiently last year, and they are doing the exact same thing through Division III this year. But we know that Bishop Watterson is certainly no slouch. Central Catholic is undefeated at 15-0. Bishop Watterson has only lost one game. They are coming into this game at 14-1. I don't have too big of an opinion on this one, to be quite honest with you. I will default by going to Toledo Central Catholic because they haven't lost a game in like forever. But Bishop Watterson is certainly a good team.
Yeah, I think Toledo Central Catholic, I mean, we've seen Watterson. I mean, they went on a streak where they were really tough to beat, I know, for a long time. But Toledo Central Catholic, every year they're there. They have a lot of talent, a lot of athletes. They can throw, they can run. They've been almost dominant this year. It's really going to be interesting to see if Watterson can contain Toledo Central Catholic's offense, because Watterson has a good defense, and we've seen it. They held was it Salina to 14 points? Was it Salina to 14 points? So we know they have a good defense, but do they have the defense that can at least contain Toledo Central Catholic's offense and keep them in the game? As long as they have a shot to win in the end, that this could be a really good one.
I'm going Toledo Central Catholic because I cannot allow myself to pick Columbus Bishop Watterson, and that's a personal decision. And I, first off, respect the hell out of that program and Columbus Bishop Watterson. Very congratulations, but you hurt me 22 years ago.
Wow.
I'm not letting it go.
Man.
And again, I don't want to pick Toledo Central Catholic either because they beat us too. But I have to pick one, and that one stings the most. So I'm picking Toledo Central Catholic.
I will also go with them as well.
Clean sweep.
Toledo Central Catholic has won all of their games more convincingly than that of Bishop Watterson, so there is that. There are some teams that we're familiar with that Watterson played pretty tough, but we were able to get the Duke there. All right, Division IV state championship, Glenville from Cleveland, Ohio, look to defend their Division IV state championship. They're the number 5 seed. They are 12-2. They will take on Kettering Bishop Alter. They are 12-3. This game will be played Saturday at 7:30 p.m. This is the last game of the state championships, and this is going to be a great game. Glenville played a very tough schedule. They had an allowance to no longer play a full Senate League schedule, so they could play competition that's probably more befit of their level. And they lost a couple of games that were no slouches. They lost to Avon. I think they lost to an out-of-state team as well. But they've run roughshod over everybody since, and that includes Sandusky Perkins for the regional championship. And that was lining up to be the toughest game. We were really looking forward to that one, and they took care of business there. Archbishop Alter is fantastic. They're a very, very good team as well. I am going to go local and go Glenville, but I think Bishop Alter can give them a good game, and we'll see if special teams Special teams may come into play here to maybe tilt the game one way or the other.
Yeah, I had the chance to see Glenville this year against Avon, and I mean they're a team that defensively are just tough all around. They have athletes all over the place. Offensively, their quarterback, he can run, but he can also pass. And I know versus Avon, he ran the ball quite a bit. You know, he found, you know, the receivers are covered. He looked, and then he would run. And I mean, he had some really big runs. He has great speed. Glenville's that team that, you know, I don't know if they like those really high scoring games, because I know it was, I think, a 23-14 game with Avon. They like those kind of low scoring games, and they had a chance against Avon. They had a few chances, but Avon made a few more plays. But offensively, they just have a lot of D1 prospects on this team, so they have the speed, they have the athleticism. Glenville's going to be a tough one. But like you said, Archbishop Alter, they're a tough team, and I think this is another game that could go either way, but I'm also going to go Glenville.
Josh, what do you
Give me Glenville. Going local.
Give him Glenville. I'm torn, and I'm torn because I want to not betray my Dayton, Ohio teams, because there's not many of them in the state championships, so you want to. But I mean, we're talking about Glenville, we're talking about speed, we're talking about just a fundamentally well-coached program. I think I also got to go with the Tarbletters here, guys. I mean, this team, this program, this Glenville team is really good, and they are very, 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 very talented. And I think they are the buzzsaw in this division. If I'm not mistaken, this would be back-to-back D4 championships if they win it this year. Yes. So I'm going for the back-to-back. I'm calling for the back-to-back this year. The 2P.
That is this game again will be played Saturday night at 7:30 p.m. This will be the final game of the state championships for this year.
And I just realized it's a repeat, not a 2P, but we'll move on from that.
I thought you were making up a new word. Good effort.
Yeah, trying to power through that one. All right, the next game we have is the Division 5 state championship between Perry, 15-0, against Liberty Center, also 15-0. This is the battle of the number 1 and number 2 AP ranked schools in Division 5. This game will be played Saturday at 3 p.m. Perry has more of the local flavor around here for us. They are a extremely good team. They do have a victory over Kirtland, which is not a whole lot of teams can say they've beaten Kirtland in the last 10 years, let alone the last year. But they've run roughshod over most of their opponents. They did have a tough game against Harvest Prep. Harvest Prep wasn't able to get on the board so late, but they shut down Perry about as good as you can shut down Perry because they score a lot of points. Liberty Center is out of Henry County in Liberty Center, Ohio. They have put up a ton of points, but they have played a lot closer of games, especially against Coldwater and Germantown Valley View. A victory over Coldwater is a very good victory. Coldwater doesn't lose very often, especially in the playoffs. So Liberty Center is definitely for real. I'm going to go Perry here, if nothing else, if they're local. And if you beat Kirtland, there's not a whole lot. You can pretty much beat anybody. So I'm going Perry on this one.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I don't know too much about these teams, but obviously both are undefeated and obviously have played very well this season. But you mentioned Perry being a little more local. I'll go with Perry in this one, and this should be a great game, especially with both teams being undefeated and had no problems so far this season. Let's go with Perry in this one.
I'm going Liberty Center just because I flipped a coin and it came up Liberty Center.
Fair enough.
I'm gonna go with Perry. I think they have a slightly better defense in this matchup, and I think when all else is even, defense wins out. Defense wins championships.
Ooh, look at Coach Jeffy
Mm-hmm.
All right. This game will be played at 3 p.m. on Saturday. All right, the Division 6 state championship, a rematch between Kirtland and Versailles. Kirtland is the number 1 ranked team in the AP. Versailles, at least not shown in what I'm looking at. They don't have a ranking attached to them, but we know Versailles is very good. They did defeat Kirtland the last time these two teams played, so this isn't exactly a walkover for Kirtland here. I'm gonna go. I had said that it's gonna be Kirtland until someone knocks them off. Versailles knocked them off. Now I'm not sure if I'm willing to give them to completely flip on Kirtland again. I want to see if Versailles can do it again. So I'm going Kirtland here. Tiger Laverty, I think he's got 15 kids. It seems like there's a Laverty playing for him every single year. They are well-oiled machine, but Versailles also a well-oiled machine. And again, they do have a recent victory over Kirtland. I'm going Kirtland in the Division 6 championship game. This game will be played Friday morning at 10:30 a.m.
Yeah, Kirtland's always tough. I'm picking them to win this one. They're there every year, and they continue to get stronger and stronger. I think they can win this game and see what happens.
Give me the Tigers from Versailles. I'll take the Tigers. Sorry, Kirtland, but I'm gonna vote against you here. And this wasn't a coin flip. This was a very well thought out plan that I once got lost in Versailles. And if you can get lost in Versailles, that's saying something about a town that's as big as this big. So I got lost in Versailles once.
Wow.
Well, I will go total revenge factor in this one. I'm going to go Kirtland. Kirtland with the victory, avenging last year's defeat.
Note about Versailles, the 2 losses are to Coldwater, the aforementioned Coldwater Cavaliers, and Maria Stein Marion Local by a count of 14-13. So they're one of the few teams that have been able to give Marion Local anything close to a game. That is worth noting. And again, they do have the victory over Kirtland from last year. So, but I'm still going Kirtland. I'm kind of going with Josh's theory here. They're going to get revenge. All right, that game will be played Friday at 10:30. The last game we'll go over real quick. The aforementioned Maria Stein Marion Local Flyers. They are 15-0. They've won about 50 state championships. I'm joking about that. It's not too far off, to be quite fair, though. They are an absolute steamroller of a team. Their only close game again was to Versailles, a Division 6 team. They've given up a total of 7 points in 5 games in the playoffs.
Wow.
They average somewhere in the 50 range. They are unstoppable. I'm a little bit about Dalton. Dalton, not too far from the local area. They are from Wayne County. They play in the Wayne County League with Norwayne and Hillsdale. Those are the 2 best teams there. Norwayne gave them a pretty good run. They were able to get that game. They did lose to Kirtland by a count of 14-7 early in the year, the very first game. So giving Kirtland a game is also worth something here. As far as the playoffs are concerned, Dalton destroyed Caldwell to get here. They've been pretty successful in the playoffs as well. For me though, it's Maria Stein Marion Local until they lose. I haven't seen it, so I can't pick against them. With all due respect to Dalton.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, their defense has been solid. They're always there in the championship game, and like you said, Ed, it's theirs until they lose. I mean, hopefully Dalton can play a really tough game and maybe surprise us, but I'm going Marion Local as well here.
Sean?
Ladies and gentlemen.
You want you to go? You go.
Hold on, Sean's still flipping a coin.
Yeah, I'm going Marion Local. Dominance continues.
I'm calling the upset, baby. Give me Dalton. I'm calling the upset.
Dalton.
Get some.
Going for the Dalton Bulldogs to
There it
pull
is.
off to pull off the upset against Maria Stein Marion local. That game again. This game will be played Saturday morning at 10:30 a.m. That'll kick off the last day of the high school football season this Saturday. That is all we got for that's all we got really for the we have one more show left for the high school football season. I think we're going to merge a little bit of that into our coverage of our next season. We will be covering the Greater Cleveland High School Hockey League. You may have heard every once in a while we will go out and cover some games. You're going to get some live streaming of high school hockey. There's literally nobody else that does it as well as we do. I think other people do it. They don't do it as well as we do.
Well, it's because they don't have the golden voice.
That's what we're talking
Nobody.
about, Rob. Thank you for bringing that up. No one else on the planet has the golden tones that is Mr. Ed Dick on the play-by-play, and yours truly trying still to figure out the game of hockey.
The golden voice and the golden beard team up once again.
It's not golden, it's red. Red delicious is what it is.
Bronze.
They're just jealous.
Bronze.
It's a little bit bronze right now. It's getting a little gray because I'm old now. But guys, I got to tell you, I was looking at the hockey schedule.
Hype alert.
I was looking at the hockey schedule. I was looking at what we got coming up, and I'm just excited, guys. We are talking high school hockey action, regular season league play. That doesn't even cover what we do for the Barron Cup. We may do a full court press on the Barron Cup. We're still trying to figure it out. But I'm telling you right now, if you want the absolute best high school hockey coverage in the state, please go to our YouTube, hit subscribe, hit the like button, tell your mom, tell your uncle, tell your grandma. You guys were all together this week for Thanksgiving after the politics and after everyone stopped crying about Ohio State losing. You guys had to talk about something. Why not talk about the absolute best coverage of high school hockey in the state of Ohio? And oh, by the way, he's not on the show tonight, but Dr. Hoops has got something cooking in his lab, boys. He's got something going on, and I'm loving every minute of it. We're talking high school basketball. We're even flirting with the idea of maybe doing a little something on the website. So keep an ear out. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram, Threads, whatever it is, for the latest updates from Sports on Tap. Not just the YouTube, but also on the website.
Josh looks a little confused.
He's a little confused because it's a reading thing, and Josh doesn't read well. He's not a reader. He's more of a visual learner, which is fine, and we'll get there. But hey, all I'm saying is, please, also, we're coming on holiday season. Do yourself a favor. Please patronize our sponsors. GV Art and Artwork.
What was that?
Patronize. I said patronize. Patronize. Hand-built leather goods. RRT Productions can shoot anything you need. And if you're looking for insurance, we're coming on in the beginning of the year. Why not make a clean sweep? Talk to Ray Farmer. He'll hook you up. He does it every day. The guy saves you money.
Wait, Ray Farmer? I think he retired from the GM job of the Browns a long time ago.
Well, he works for Ray Felton, is what I said. Ray Felton.
That he might.
And that's the thing.
But I will say, if you want the hand and built leather goods, there's a lot of good stuff there.
They got some cool designs there. I checked that out this weekend.
And he's a veteran, and he does a great job with all these leather goods, whether it's wallets, handbags. You need something to hold your computer. I mean, there's a lot of different things there. So I would check it out. Check his website out. It's pretty cool. Handbuiltleather.com.
Programming note, thank you to Josh for this. Kirtland actually lost to Maria Stein Marion local last year in a very tough game by a count of 14-6. That was for the Division 6 state championship. Maria Stein Marion local then moved down to Division 7 because why not dominate another division? It was 2 years ago, though, that Kirtland did lose to Versailles.
The revenge factor still fits.
Yes. Our title sponsor is Ray Felton, not Ray Farmer, because I'm a moron. Ray, don't get mad at Rob. I'm a moron.
Sean, you want to just give your email address real quick?
Sure. It's Rob Troutman, care of sportsontap@gmail.com. You can CC Josh Jeffy, but again, it's a reading thing. He doesn't read. So if you want to just send some visual things, you can try and get a hold of me and Ed, but we don't check that email. So I got enough emails to check on it daily. So
he's actually right about that. That's completely true. With that being said, make sure you tune to us next week. We will officially wrap up the high school football season, but we will get the Brewery puck drop going on the high school hockey season as we get ready for the Greater Cleveland High School Hockey League. We'll take a look at the divisions, some of the movements, and we're really excited to partner with the Greater Cleveland High School Hockey League again to bring you the best high school hockey coverage from a media standpoint. All right, for Rob Troutman, Sean Duffy, Josh Jeffy, Noah Jacobson out on assignment. My name is Ed Dick. You have watched this on our YouTube channel. Again, make sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the like our page, get the notifications. Find us on Spotify. Subscribe to us on Spotify. Make sure you check us out at Twitter /X at SOT Podcasts, at SOT_podcast on Threads, Facebook is Sports on Tap, website sportsontappodcast.com, and all emails go to Rob Troutman at sportsontappodcast@gmail.com. Thank you very much for joining. This was the High School Football Show brought to you by Ray Felton, State Farm Insurance, and we will see you on the other side. I said no Jacobson on assignment if I didn't say that. I can't say that enough, but we'll see you on the other side.
Sports on Tap's high school football coverage is on every Monday night at 7:30 p.m. Watch live on YouTube and make sure to subscribe. Sports on Tap's high school football coverage is presented by Raymond Felton State Farm.
With the auto insurance market constantly changing, call a professional that will put your needs first. Ray Felton State Farm is a team of licensed professionals that will assess your risk, explain coverage in detail, and assure you understand what would happen if you ever found yourself in a claim situation. You can visit rayfelton.com or call their office at 234-284-2996 for a free quote on your home, auto, renters, and life insurance needs.
Whether you're hosting a corporate event, wedding, conference, concert, or any other special gathering, our comprehensive range of services will exceed your expectations and elevate your event to new heights. RRT Productions. We shoot, we edit, you win. Visit our website at www.rrt-productions.com.
Hand-and-built leather goods. Leather goods built for life. Made by hand in the USA, all goods are made with veg-tanned leather. Some of the best quality around and made by a U.S. veteran. Check out their website, www.handbuiltleather.com. GV Art and Design is a creative boutique specializing in original artwork, design, and apparel. With 4 locations in Lakewood, Avon, Willoughby, and Kent, you can visit their store and check out their collections including Cleveland sports teams, Ohio colleges, and much more. Use the code ONTAP10 for 10% off your order. GV Art and Design, original and one of a kind.